I've been writing a lot recently about uh, spiritual experiences and awakening experiences, and how they can differ from teacher to teacher and from person to person. And I was thinking about that, and I was thinking, when my partner and I first came back from the religious community that we had in England, we started working with the developmentally disabled in California. And one of the, well, what they referred to as clients there, but one of the young women there was a young woman named Corrine, and I think I may have learned more about at least certain aspects of spirituality from her than I may have from any other person. She was a young woman who had been kind of written off. She was Downs, and she was dual diagnosed as autistic. And what she would do is she would sit over in the corner of the kitchen on the floor, and she would rock back and forth. And occasionally she would pull at her hair and hurt herself and exclaim that she was hurting herself to draw some attention. Or she would stick her finger down her throat and gag herself. And the only response to the people there when my partner and I first started there was to just pretty much ignore her and let her continue to do that. And they'd just say, "No, Corrine, don't do that, Corrine," And there was this constant back and forth. And I found that if I went and I sat with Corrine on the floor, and I rocked with her, in rhythm with her, that she would open up. After doing that, silently with her for just a few days, I could bring like a National Geographic or something like that, and we would look through it, and she would point to pictures of things that she liked, usually bright things, flowers, things, outdoor things. And slowly a kind of communication developed. Not a verbal communication, although she was capable of words and descriptions of things, but there was just a sense of feeling there, and she opened up, and she started to stand up and walk about, and she would come to the table and have coffee with the other people there at the house, and it showed me that with someone who is autistic and in a position where they're basically trying to communicate, and no one is taking the time to communicate with them. Everyone, the whole program, the whole effort is, if they won't communicate with us, they have to communicate with us, and they have to communicate with us as we want them to communicate with us. And this is very much how we approach spirituality. Even though we say we're open and all is oneness, and we take a position. We take up some kind of a position. It's either an absolute position, or it's both the absolute and the relative, or it's a relative position, or it's some sort of a position, instead of being open to the idea that the spirit sees out of different eyes. The same, I've described it before as it's like looking at the same object out of different windows. there's a little bit of a different perspective. And we don't want to become dogmatic about that, but one of the points I wanted to make in making this video was, just recently, I don't know if any of you've seen it or not, if you have any interest in autism at all. I have some interest in it because both I and my partner have a low, or I should say a high-functioning form of autism, that is Asperger's syndrome. And so we have some connection with this idea of seeing things from a different perspective. But in any event, what I was going to talk about was there's this video that's been around on the internet, on YouTube, and a variety of different places, of a young lady that had been autistic all of her life, incommunicative as far as anyone knew, until she started typing on a computer. And everybody was amazed that how aware she was, how much she thought about things, and how she had a perspective, and all this thing, all these ideas that she had that all of a sudden blossomed when she was able to use a computer. But in any event, the point that I wanted to make about that was, as one of the things that she talked about, and it reminded me of Corrine, this young lady that I had worked with. And what she said was, one of the things that happens with her, and one of the reasons why a lot of autistic people, you see, will be flailing like this on a regular basis. And she said the reason they do that is because things come at them so fast. Information, data, colors, life is just... And this really, really struck a chord with me, because after my awakening experience, if you want to call it that, I became aware of this sense of, I described it as things happening at once.